Yo, what's up guys? New tier list. This is one that has been asked quite a few times and mostly is asked to streamers in general. What's your most wanted LD5? So this is not particularly a most or the best LD5 out there or best RTA LD5 or best PvE LD5. No, this is specifically my most wanted. If you want to see an LD5 RTA tier list, I have one linked in the description. It's a little bit older. I think it has it all the way up to the Puppeteer, so it's just missing the AC units and the, well, a few balance patches, AC units and Indras. But that one is somewhat up to date, I would say. So in this case, I'm going to make a tier list of my most wanted LD5s. That is definitely a very biased list based on what units I already have, where I would like to use them, what kind of content I feel invested in. But to make this list somewhat interesting for you guys as well, every LD5 I will place, I will also say where I would use it, what kind of teams and how I would rune it. So in that case, you could maybe look up your LD5 in this and then say like, hey, this is actually how you have this LD5, but say says that you can use it there, or there, and maybe in this team or that kind of stuff. So I will be making a highly biased list because some units I, of course, will place higher because I care about arena offense as well. I have certain other units. And I will also place all of my LD5s that I already have. I will mention that I already have them. And then I would mention them as if I didn't have them, but still use them with all of the other units I have. And then still rate them for that sake. I do, however, still have like the 100 tier all the way to 55 and the meme tiers just because I'm used to it and I'm going to keep with that. So let's just start off with that right away. Shan. Shan is going to be a very high most wanted for me. Mainly because I think I have very good runes for him. Because I think Shan is technically best runed with a good crit damage slot 4. You could do a good accuracy slot 6 on him, even though he's 25 accuracy base already. But I have very good runes on him, and I think he's one of the best RTA units in the game. I would use him siege offense as well. For sure, you would rune him speed, crit damage, probably HP, attack, or accuracy on the slot 6. But he would be a 95 for me. He wouldn't be 100 because I think he's only RTA focused. A little bit siege, but that's about it. Zeratu, I in honesty wouldn't be all too happy with. Like, I'm gonna change these numbers at some point a little bit more because with RTA tier list, I'm very familiar with placing things like at random. Since any tier list is a relative tier list, so A is higher than B or B is higher than A. And so I might switch things around a little bit later. But Zeratu, for me, I think I would try to put him on siege defense. But I don't think he does too well in there. Maybe like a siege defense with a speed lead, kick lead. Zeratu, I think that's the only thing that would kind of work. RTA, I wouldn't use it. PvE, I guess you can use it in the PC and SF dungeons. But the moment we get Abyss, you cannot really use him there as well. Rune build, most likely just a speed, crit rate, HP or something like that. His biggest issue is like he's very easy to get CC'd and he needs a little bit more on the passive to become viable, I would say. He's hard to rune as well. Then I would say Han. Han is straight up a 95 for me. It's RTA only. I would probably use it in Siege as well, but it's not really recommended in Siege, but I would definitely do it in Siege. Main reason why Han is high for me, well, I have Giana, so gotta be by. I have Giana and Dark Robo. I could also pair him with Dark Monkey. Is definitely a unit that's difficult to rune as well, but shines with very good rune quality, especially of the mid-tier speeds, like 250 to 80-ish speed on like very high everything set. And I think I could build a pretty nice Han. So Han is a 95 for me. I think Han for a lot of people would be slightly lower than that. But Han for me is definitely a 95. I would be very happy with Han. Akroma. Akroma is somewhat hard to place. I wouldn't use it for arena defense. I would use it for siege offense. I think there's a few defenses out there with a Doman right now. It's an insta winner against Doman. It's an insta winner against a Zeratu on defense. It's an insta winner against a lot of those things. So siege offense, I would say free hit, free win. But RTA, I think it's a niche to decent 5th pick in RTA. I do think that she pretty much shines with good rune quality as well. Because she needs, like, once again, those bruiser tier, but then I would say like 240 to 260-ish on very high all stats except resistance. But Akroma, I would say 70 for me. Trinity, to be honest, I would only use in arena offense as a triple fight unit. I would definitely build some cleaves with it for sure, but I would say more for content than I would actually be happy with Trinity. So You know, honestly, Trinity is kind of like 55 for me. I wouldn't put it in meme tier. Like, I think a lot of people feel like it would be a meme tier, but meme tier for me is not used at all. And I would use Trinity. Trinity would not be a storage guardian for me. Trinity would be used on a triple fight cleave set as speed lead. Zerath. Zerath will be super nice right now because it's potentially the fastest dungeon clear unit for giants, which I farm the most. However, that is, I don't think I can rune it at this moment, so I would have to focus a bunch more runes on it. Arena offense, you can also create a few interesting things with him. Let's say you go for Leo Gemini and then a Kabila. That is definitely a thing that outspeeds nearly everything. Has a speed lead, it's just 19, but it has the speed lead in there. And you only need armor break to kill anything. So I would definitely use it in... I would be pretty sure that I would use it in siege offense. I would use it in arena offense. RTA, I wouldn't really use it in PvE. Like, PvE has the higher value for me. That's Zerath becomes an 80. Even though I can probably not rune it as of this moment. But something like that. Julianne, definitely siege offense. 100% for RTA. Once again, one of the strongest bruisers in the game right now. Similar to Han, actually. Yeah, I think it's... I would use Julianne pretty much everywhere, but I would also decide to use Han. Han has slightly more synergy with the units I have, but Julianne would be very nice as well. Typically runed on a speed crit damage attack. Yeah, I would say speed crit damage attack via Nem. Grogen, I do already have Grogen, but I'm gonna place Grogen in. I think Grogen was at the previous stage where you had a lot of defenses with Nana, very strong. Currently in RTA, well, actually you saw the video in, when RTA is not used, wouldn't use it. You saw the video yesterday, hopefully, on Grogen in Siege. And the recovery that he can make from S2 into S3 if you miss a lot of defense breaks is actually very strong. So for that reason, I would say Grogen for Siege offense is pretty much always used. For Arena offense, you have some more decent options out there, I would say. Because Leia technically does more damage and doesn't give a shit about Manon and Molly that much. And Zyros is technically stronger slash better, except against water. But against water, I prefer to use Leia as well. So for that reason, I would say... And also you have a lot of Camillas right now, which Grogen doesn't do too great in as well. Bombers might do even better. So Grogen for me is a 70. And yeah, let's keep it like that. Cadiz, decent RTA unit. Decent arena or siege defense unit, decent siege offense unit, but doesn't really shine in anything particularly that well. Could definitely use it in R5. I would definitely use it in R5 if I had one. I would also use it in SF potentially if it works decent in there. So it doesn't really have high value of doing anything really good, but it does have value where it does everything a little bit. So I wouldn't really mind a Cadiz all too much. Eludia, you can make some specific cleaves with Eludia. It does do a lot of damage, but to be honest, unless I had a Lucifer, I don't really think I would like Eludia that much. Because then you can go Lucifer, Eludia, Leo X, which is one of the strongest arena offense teams in the game. You could say, okay, I just go Leo, Eludia, and then 2 more units. But I would have to think of something that kind of fits that specific spot. Because... cannot really think of that. You probably do have some certain cleaves where Eludia works pretty well, where you can go like a Hongyong, Eludia, 33 lead, and then your damage dealer. I do think that that is actually a pretty strong team. So I would probably, if I had an Eludia, I would probably use that. And then you could fit in like a Kaki or something like that. However, it does have the issue, of course, of you have to strip, you have to do that stuff. And it is fighting Nemesis runes, which is also not really the greatest of things always, but... a 100% chance to, well, 100% chance and then minus the activation checks, and or 100% activation and then minus resistance checks on a armor break with a strip is definitely not bad. So Eludia gets 65 from me. I would use Eludia more than I would use other units, probably. Jaara, a lot of units, or a lot of people would expect it to put very low, but I actually think that Jaara is a PvE god. And I would definitely, for me specifically, it will be a lot of content in a lot of specific dungeon teams. I could do a lot of things with it. I would R5 with it. I think it would arguably be best in pretty much every Abyss states except Necro maybe. So yeah, I would definitely rate Jaara pretty decently for saying like, okay, I think it does, it's not an RTA unit at all. would probably not use it in Siege. I might use it in Siege here and there if you want to like cleave out a, let's say, Mars or something like that. I would actually probably use it in Siege still because I'm an idiot that just wants to use a Herald DC in it. So yeah, I would definitely use a Jaara. I would even say 75 on the Jaara, which a lot of people, I know, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but this is my list of like pretty much what is my happiness scale of pulling a certain unit and how much specific content can I clear with it and how well can I clear with it. So this is mainly PvE only, but it is very godlike for PvE. I think it's one of the best. Like people were saying like, oh, we need Deborah. No, you don't need Deborah, you need a Jaara. Jaara is way better than Deborah. You can do so much more stuff with a Jaara than a Deborah. Artamiel, I would say Siege offense here and there. I would probably use Artamiel for my standard arena offense where I always press auto, which is the Seimei, Alaya, Feng Yang, and Leo. I might remove the Leo. I actually removed the Leo recently for a, what's it called? For a Manon. Works pretty well. I could put an Artamiel in there as well. Could use Artamiel as 5th pick in RTA, but it's mostly not really. It's really one of those like 1 in 100 matches where he fits insanely well. Probably clears up the whole team, but I wouldn't use him more than like a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 matches. So I would say he is used, but not that much. Fermion, I think Fermion is just Siege offense. It's a free win in Siege offense, but besides a free win in Siege offense, I would probably never use it. So that pretty much gets like a 65 for me. Laima is somewhat in a hard spot right now. Laima is pretty hard countered by Juno and Praha still if you go for RTA. Laima is definitely used in Siege offense. Would also use it in Siege defense. I've mostly used it in Siege defense. Tried it in Arena defense, not that great there. Tried some Arena offenses. Were pretty good when you were used to running her on triple revenge or, no wait, it was double revenge will. And she would get more attack bar than a Triton pushback would on a Leo. So there was used to be like 45 increase after the Triton pushback. Currently it's just a 30 increase, which is not enough, so that kind of sucks. So for Arena offense, she's a little bit worse. For RTA, of course, she's still very good. But I think in RTA, she is mainly good right now next to a Woodjet. Without that, it's not that crazy good. So I'm gonna give Laima an 85 PvE-wise. Well, actually, I use it in TOA Hell as well. I'm gonna give it 1 up because her usability in TOA Hell. I use her a lot together where I go for this really annoying team of well, it's a lot of LD heavy though, but I don't really think you need the other units. It's mainly, the main thing is that you do some damage. Well, let's say you can do the Bolvric team with Laima. So you go for Shizuka Laima, and then you go for Ganymede, Jemaya, Bolvric. You're pretty much never gonna run out invisibility, and you can clear a lot of TOA Hell stage with that. So she's pretty useful for that. And then she's pretty useful everywhere, but I don't think she really exceptionally shines everywhere at the moment. But she's definitely useful everywhere. I use her pretty much most sieges as well. So 90 on the Laima for me. Lora, I would say Lora is, well, RTA God. PvE, not really worth anywhere. If you want to do TOA with her, I don't think it's worth that much as well. But Siege defense, you could do a fast Siege. No, I would put her on Siege defense too, because she is pretty hard to outspeed. And if you build a unit that is on the same tick with a speed lead that actually outboosts units then afterwards because of the speed buff, you can build a pretty nasty Siege or an Arena defense with it as well. Siege defense, I don't think so. Or Siege offense, I think she would be used Siege offense. I think I can think of some teams where I could actually, wow, that would be a very sick Siege offense. I would have to make my Verret faster, my Nefties faster, but then you can use Nefties, Lora, Verret. Yo, that's a very sick Siege. I would use that every Siege. Yes, Lora gets 100 from me. She's also just a Siege or an RTA god. So Lora would definitely get 100 from me on the scale of happiness of like how happy I would be with pulling the unit. So then Giana. That's always been my longest pulled LD5, longest pulled net 5 in general. My general bias of saying like, okay, do I find her very good, very minimum, or not at all? Siege defense, she's terrible. Arena defense, terrible. Arena offense, terrible. Siege offense, terrible. So she kind of got hard nerfed on the attack bar 15 check to, or attack bar 15 increase per to 10. She used to be pretty good for siege offense. I used to spam the living shit out of the Rogue, Giana, and the Ciara. Was very good, but currently not that great. So I would say Giana is purely RTA only. And she's somewhat worse, like she has currently the worst position in RTA that she's ever had since her release. And the main reason for that is that she, well, she just has like struggles with everything outboosting or outspeeding her. Being 100 on the base speed is pretty much the worst position because then Swift gets 25, whereas it's rounded up. If you're 101, you already get 26. So just one added base speed on her would give her 2 more speed, technically, if you build her on Swift. I do think Swift is the best build for her right now, otherwise she's just very easily outsped, which is not great. So, yeah, there's also a lot of things. Shizuka kind of still counters her because of like 1S3, the whole team stunned, everything like that. Hagen got boosted, Rakuni got boosted, Junas are very strong in the meta, so she has her difficulties in there right now. However, I still really like Giana, I still spam Giana. I'm definitely not on the point where I would say like, hey, I'm gonna de-room my Giana because of it. I definitely do like my Giana, and I wouldn't like to play without her that much. But to be honest, I might. I've seen actually, I've talked to quite a bunch of other players, also SWC players, and they literally said like they started playing better when they started drafting less Giana. Which I think is very understandable, because in my case, I'm somewhat slower on other units because I try to make Giana as fast as possible. But she's also very hard to rune, especially on the high speed set, because you kind of want that crit rate, you need that max accuracy. It's just kind of in a difficult spot right now. However, she's still my buy, still really like the unit, but I'm gonna give her 85. And that's mainly lower. Like, I do like her more in RTA than I like Laima in RTA at the moment. Still, even though Laima's way higher win rate, still like to pick Giana more. Main reason why Laima is higher on this tier is because Laima works for Siege and other stuff as well. Nikki, ooh, I would love a Nikki. I think I put Nikki all the way at the top. Because Nikki shines with very good runes, artifacts. I definitely think I could make her work. She's very good in RTA. She does need the good setup, but I do have that Nefty setup. Like, Nefty's Nikki is pain. Like, armor break AoE into Nikki damage, your team is dead. Like, insanely dead. Somewhat hard to pull off, like you cannot pull it in every draft, but that's insanely good. Would definitely use it in Siege offense, definitely used in Siege defense, so yeah, Nikki for me is 100 for sure. Asima with the pre-Amber nerf would have been very high up, because Asima is the best armor breaker in the game. With an Amber next to it, that's just Amber Nefties. Like, just imagine the team Tiana, Amber, Nefties, Asima. There's not a single thing on arena defense that, if it doesn't outspeed it, it can like survive that kind of damage. That would be insane. Still would really like an Asima. I would definitely use her, but since the Amber nerf, she's a little bit worse. But I would definitely use her for siege offense stuff. She's also a nice 5th pick in RTA. She's very good in a lot of PvE stuff as well. If it's like on the starting factor of like hard to clear, would definitely abuse her in TOA, all of that kind of good stuff. So Asima gets an 85 for me, and that's mainly for the versatility that she has. Like, to be honest, on any beginner account, mid-tier account, I would say Asima's like close to 100. And funny enough, Asima was my favorite unit from the start of the game. I had one rep like all the way like 8 years back when I started playing the game. I had one rep with an Asima, and that thing destroyed everything. So I have a slight bias towards Asima that I just really like the unit. Like, the whole kit is just cool. There's so much multi-hit, so much armor break, so much dot, so much turn cycling. Asima's just a cool unit, and she kind of goes a 1-up for a cool factor, I would say. Craka is one of those units, to be honest, to me it feels kind of like an Athena without element and a semi-non-existing skill 3, because your skill 3 only is used when shit goes bad, and until then you have no S3 technically. Would probably use in Siege offense, would probably use in Siege defense, or at least try to make it work in Siege defense. Siege defense, I can't really think of something. Probably you still get along the lines of Speed, Lead Kick like that, and Craka or something. RTA, I don't really think I would use it all too much, but I might use it here and there. So she's gonna get a 70 from me. Jager, I think Jager goes to the meme tier, and that's probably one of the few, if not the only one that goes straight meme tier for me. I would use it in specific siege counters where I, for example, also use Wang, but Wang just does a better job at it, probably. So if I can do a draft where I can do against Celia, sometimes that you have right now, I can do Wang, Jager, and then like a support or something. There maybe, but in general, I think the monkey already does a better job at it. So Jager for me is not gonna be used as much right now. Qitian Dasheng, probably would not use in Siege, would not use in Arena, would not really use in PvE. Well, PvE you could maybe get away with it on a little bit, but TOA is not really that great for him. So it's just RTA unit, and in RTA it's, I would say, one of the best. If you play full AoE CC, he's probably the best 5th pick. But he's only a 5th pick in that sense. But I think he does very good at it. But yeah, I will get Monkey towards 80 for me. Ragdoll is pretty much RTA unit only. It's actually a very good siege offense tank. If you need a dark tank on siege offense, I would say that a Ragdoll can do very good at that. And Ragdoll also has somewhat towards a bias for me that I really like the unit for RTA. So for that reason that I really like the units for RTA, it's also something that it enables a lot more turn 2 potential. A lot of people would say like, oh, Ragdoll is no longer as good as it used to be. Yes, spamming Ragdoll is definitely no longer as good as it used to be. Absolutely true. Spamming Ragdoll is not great. But a Ragdoll in a 4th or 5th slot is insanely dangerous. And it enables you a whole bunch of more turn 2. It probably, I think it would fit my kit really good to play a way stronger turn 2 the moment I get outsped. Because if you get outsped by an Ethna, you have a Ragdoll on the field, but the rest of your units are pretty fast as well. It's dangerous for that Ethna to use S2. It's dangerous for that Ethna to do anything. And you have a lot of those units, something like that. So I might be overvaluing Ragdoll, but I do definitely like myself Ragdoll. I played on a lot of accounts and I played quite some Ragdoll accounts as well. So I think Ragdoll's very solid. And I do think Ragdoll needs crazy runes for a lot of damage. Like the moment your Ragdoll, every turn he takes, because there's a lot of Ragdolls that just don't take damage. But if you go a very solid, I would still go attacker damage attack on via will. You definitely do need that will because he's mainly not that fast, like plus 70 to plus 100 speed or so. But the moment your Ragdoll, every turn he takes, he just half HP's a unit. And then yes, you need some crazy damage. But yes, I had saved so many weird runes. I'm pretty sure I could build like a crazy 120 plus efficiency Ragdoll. I think it would definitely shine on my account. But he's RTA only, so therefore gets 85. Dark Monkey, to be honest, I only use Dark Monkey in Siege offense, and it's just Siege offense. I don't even use it because it's technically good. I just use it because I want to use it. And Siege defense, the unit's absolutely terrible. It's too straightforward. It doesn't do enough. It's just stunning. It's just on a low rate, that as well. And it doesn't really do too much damage. Like his scaling kit is just weird. He has pretty much near to no existing on the base attack. But his S1 and S2 fully scale of attack, and his S3 is partially scaling of HP. And his HP base is very good, but then the thing is you can throw a lot of HP in it, but he's still gonna do shit damage. You actually need attack crit damage to do damage on him. So he's just in a very weird spot, so he gets a 65 for me by best. Like no, actually he's gonna go to a 60. Like, I use him because I have him, but I really don't like him, to be honest. And the only way that I can actually use him is paired with another LD5 and an LD4. So, yeah, that's pretty premium, and I don't really like it. Shazam, I don't really like the unit all too much either. Would maybe use it in a Siege offense. Yeah, I would probably use it in Siege offense. I'm not entirely sure what kind of team. You do have everything counter, so that's pretty strong into the AI, I would say. Siege defense, I would probably try to make something work, but I feel like he's pretty much similar to Zhang Lao. He's just, I would use him because I want to use my LDs, but I wouldn't use him because I think he's actually good. Well, I think I gave him higher than Trinity because Trinity is, this is just one thing and this can still do kind of two things. Rahul, I would definitely say, I would almost put Rahul in here though, but I think Rahul I would use some Siege offenses, maybe defense. I think he does pretty bad at it too. Yeonhong goes straight to the top for me. Main reason is, I always like this unit for being a playmate. The only issue she has is that her S2 is inconsistent for the strip. If that was better, she would actually be higher. I think she's RTA only. I do think I would abuse her in Siege here and there as well because I just want to use my LDs. But mainly she's just RTA, but she's insanely good at that. Plus the combination of a Yeonhong Nephthys is very strong because Yeonhong S3, Nephthys S2 gives everyone the defense break, but the better thing is even. Besides that defense break, you're gonna give speed buff to a Juno. You can strip and that speed buff and boost up yourself, and if you have a strong Yeonhong, you can insta one-shot that Juno. I've seen it happen. It's just very strong. That's just insanely strong. So yeah, Yeonhong gets a 95 from me. Wolyung, on the other hand, I would try out some cleave for RTA, but I would probably just use it arena offense. So I would say because of the reason, it's kind of similar as Eludia. Nigong, I think Nigong is just a defense unit, and it doesn't really do too crazy good as a defense unit. It's okay as a defense unit, but I've seen a lot in arena defense mainly. The moment I switch my Nigong to a Windy, or switch my Nigong to a Camilla, or switch my Nigong to pretty much anything, it does better for arena defense. Siege defense, I have some defense with Nigong always, but they never really perform too well. Siege offense, I don't really tend to use it too much as well. Just here and there, but it's not that great. Wunsa, well, that's pretty much RTA only. I wouldn't put it arena defense. I don't really like it as arena defense. I don't really like it as arena offense either, because you're kind of bound to, like, do they actually have will runes or not? So it's just RTA, and for RTA, I think it's a niche to nice last pick, but the issue is you have to invest pretty good runes to him, and if you do that, those runes kind of also fit on a Sibala or an Asher or anything like that, so I would say Wunsa for me is, in all honesty, a 60. I wouldn't be too happy with the Wunsa. Alanoa, pretty much a playmaker in RTA. Would only use it RTA, I guess. I guess I would use it TOA as well. TOA, it's pretty funny of a unit. Arena offense, not. Defense, not. Siege, maybe, but I don't think so. Well, Siege, I would probably try out some kind of weird cleave with it. So I would probably use it for Siege. So it's just RTA. I think she is a nice pick or a niche pick in RTA, but I'm not really sure if I would like her too much. I think it's a little bit too much of the same at some point. Like, everything I would draft then at that point would be countered by a Juno. Everything would be drafted by a Rakuni. So I think it's maybe a little bit too much of the same, but I would definitely use it here and there. I would say 75 on it. And probably just the despair set typical thing. Lydia, I feel like Lydia's terrible in anything. Like, to be honest, I think Lydia's one of the worst units right now because it is bad in arena defense. It actually doesn't really shine or excel in arena defense. She needs a pass. She has like a built-in passive nemesis that what she needs or something like that. I don't know. Because she doesn't do enough. It's just too mediocre. It's like an Alexandra, but then like 10 times worse. So I would probably not use a Lydia. Pontus. Definitely Siege offense has some potentials with some Odin kind of cleave or anything like that. Arena defense, I would definitely put Pontus on arena defense, so that does a value up right away already. Besides that, Siege defense, not. Arena offense, not. RTA, of course. RTA will definitely be used. Yeah, I would give Pontus an 80. Because I think in RTA, last pick Pontus is pretty nasty. Plus you can Nem Trap on Pontus as well, which makes him pretty interesting too. Manananan. I think I would only value Manananan if I had a Jaara. Without the Jaara, I wouldn't really like the unit. With Jaara, you have the potential for very insane dungeon teams, but only if you have the Jaara. So if I had the Jaara, I would put it like 75, 80, because I think I would also use it in Siege. Without it, I would say just a 60. So since I don't have Jaara right now, I'm just gonna put it at 60. Sylvia has pretty much always the potential for the craziest Siege defense. Pretty decent Siege offense. We have a very good Siege defense right now, so mainly for that, I would rate a Sylvia on 80. I have been, well, as you guys have been mentioning, I've been going, or as you guys have been noticing, I've been going a little bit more towards Siege kind of stuff as well. So for that reason, Sylvia, 80, I would say so. The Bay, I would use it on Siege offense, but I'm not going to put it meme tier because I actually would use it. Jaara and this I wouldn't use, but the Bay I would use, but it's not great. Wajet goes straight to 95, is RTA only, but is very good for RTA right now. It might get nerfed a little bit later, but I would say, yeah, 95 for just RTA potential. And that it's not 100, and the main reason that these two are 100 rather than Wajet being 100, even though I value Wajet higher in RTA than these units, is because these units I can use somewhere else as well, and Widget is just RTA. Isis, I don't really think I would use. Like, it's mainly one of those units that if you pick it in RTA, you expect it to do a lot of shit, and then it doesn't. It is nice for TOA though, so I give it a 65 on that. Nefties go straight to 100 for me, and that is, I could be very biased saying like, oh, I want Nefties lower. No, the thing is, Nefties is used everywhere. And arguably, Nefties is the most versatile LD 5 in the game. And Nefties, even though the nerfs, even though I don't feel like she has the best spot in the RTA season right now because there's a decent amount of counters to her. I think she does still very nice though. Like, don't get me wrong, she's absolutely still a very great unit at it. But she used to be better at the meta, I would say. But still, she goes straight to 100 because it's used everywhere. You can use it on defense, not that great. Wouldn't put it arena defense, siege defense, also not that great anymore. But siege offense, arena offense, there's a lot of potential. The thing is that I did notice I went for Galleon on siege offense the other week, like 2 weeks ago, and then last week I went for Nefties in offense again. Against Camillas, technically a Galleon is better than a Nefties. Even though if your Nefties is 15 crit rate, a Galleon will perform better against Camillas, which makes Nefties slightly worse on her current potential for arena offense. And for siege offense, there's just always a way that you can make Nefties work. Even though that an Amber is nerfed, which was her best pal in just killing everything, I would still say that Nefties is by far the most versatile unit in the game, can be used anywhere. And definitely lower ranks, you can also put it on defense, like for sure. Overall, not that great anymore since the nerf of Shizuka and Seimei. With that, because I also have Seimei would be quite a bunch higher. I would probably use it in siege offense to snipe things, but besides that, it's just RTA, and I don't think he does that great into RTA at the moment, so he gets 70 for me. Nyx is one of those units, I think it's decent for defense. Yeah, I think it's just decent for defense. Arena defense only, but that's about it. Like, I wouldn't really use him in RTA. I don't really trust him enough in his passive to be good in RTA. In arena defense, it's kind of just betting on RNG anyway. So Nyx would get a 60 for me. I would absolutely use it every arena defense potential that I have. But I don't think he's that great. Tian Lang goes, I would say Tian Lang goes to 100 for me as well. One of the best, if not the best counter pick in RTA. Definitely used in siege defense. Definitely used in arena defense. I would potentially also use it in siege offense, here and there, maybe a little bit less. I don't think it's that great for her. But yeah, that's the defense for both siege and arena. And it's just a very good RTA unit. So Tian Lang goes straight to 100. Mi Ying, we actually have seen more recent Mi Ying's doing very well in RTA, cleaning up the whole battlefield. Mi Ying is, I think, also as well a insta winner in siege offense. So I would say Mi Ying 80. I kind of like the unit. Celia, we have seen some Celias on defense, a little bit more here and there. You could put it towards arena defense as well. I think I would, but I think it's just those two defense things, and that's about it. So Celia gets a 70 for me. This unit, the pony, light pony, I don't really like it. I would maybe pair it if I had like a second Bolfric, but I think Amelia does her job better anyway, so would use her, but wouldn't use it that much. Viva Chell is actually quite some use in RTA. I would use Viva Chell with some specific comp in siege offense. But that is probably about it. But yeah, I would give, now let's say 75, because I think I can make her potentially for RTA as well. Alexandra, I would just say last pick in RTA, but she's very good as a last pick. It's also similar to Artamiel, like once in 100 matches. Well, I think Alexandra's more like once in 50 matches, once in 30 matches where she fits. Whereas Artamiel's that 1 in 100. And Alexandra, I would say, is pretty much one of the best dark tanks for siege offense. Could potentially put her in arena defense as well. So I would say Alexandra gets a 75 for me. I think she's pretty solid. Leona, I would say siege offense. I would say RTA here and there, but I don't really think she fits my comps for RTA that much. So I would give her like a 65, mainly because I feel like she doesn't fit as much. Phalanthus, I'm going to be slightly more biased on this because I already have Giana, I already have a whole bunch of things that do similar stuff as Phalanthus. I will know that I will lack a good Despair set if I also want to keep my Heigang Despaired. I think he kind of needs the full Hey Gang Despair set if I want to make him work. But for that reason, I think I cannot really fit a Phalanthus that well in my team. Because it's at some point, all of my units, like the Giana, the Neftis, the Phalanthus if you would add to it, they're all countered by Juno, Raccoon, and that kind of stuff. And adding the Phalanthus in doesn't really add too much to my comp. Plus, it's just an RTA unit. So actually since this is a biased list of like my most wanted LD5s, I do think Phalanthus is a very good unit. But I do also think that it would be too much of the same in my comp, too little versatility, and therefore too easy to counter. So I think Phalanthus, I would probably use it, definitely. There's definitely scenarios where Phalanthus outshines Giana, actually quite some. But there's also a lot of options where Giana just straight up outshines Phalanthus. So, now okay, because of the annoying thing where if he counters, he gets boosted up, I'm gonna make it 80 for that. But he's just an RTA unit. Patar, I think it's just a Giana counter. Besides countering Giana, he doesn't do that much, so I'm just gonna put Patar on 65. Don't really think it's a great unit. Geldnir is a lot of siege defense these days. We have some decent siege defenses with Geldnir and Twins. Offense, it's definitely a free win because you can go win the Geldnir +1 and that wins pretty much 99% of the time or more. RTA was used for a little bit but then kind of fell off as well. Arena defense could be used but I don't think it's that great. So it's just pretty much a siege unit for me. But he does that very well at siege, so gets a 70 for me. Hertite is also just siege. Well, I would say siege offense only. Siege defense, he's no longer that great. And in the Rift Beast, he's better. And technically, because you get Rift Beast, the higher you get in score right now, the higher rewards you get. I would say Hertite kind of deserves value for that, because he's one of the very few that actually gives the potential where it would boost my rates in Rift. So I would give 70 for that, for just that. Bella is definitely siege defense, siege offense. I would probably abuse her as well. She's not that great there, but I would probably abuse. And just a very good RTA unit. But not insanely like absolute god tier, but I do think I have room quality to make a shine. But I would rather have a Han Julian than I would have a Bella, in all honesty. But I would definitely abuse the living shit out of Bella if I get her. Lucifer, well, the arena offense god is also pretty nice for the new Abyss dungeons that we have. So it definitely gets high value for that. Would not use it for defense anywhere, would not use it for RTA anywhere, so it's just arena offense. Well, arena offense and PvE, so Lucifer gets a 90 from me. I would really like a Lucifer. Beelzebub, we have seen some that really struggle in RTA. We have seen some on arena defense. I would probably use it in siege offense, but I think a Belial is better. So I think a Beelzebub just gets a 60 for me right now. Narsha, siege defense for sure. Siege offense would probably use as well. She has a pretty troublesome spot in RTA right now, but I would still give Narsha towards 80. Sienna, I use her in defense always, but she doesn't really work too well in defense like compared to her sister. RTA can be used, but needs a very specific comp to maybe kind of work, so don't really like that too much. I do use it together with the Zhang Lao, but to be honest, if I didn't have Giana, I wouldn't mind it too much. She gets like a 70 spot. It's not the worst, but wouldn't be too happy with or without her, to be honest. We have Humble, and Humble is a siege off or an arena offense god. Siege offense potential. I think he's kind of lacking the damage there. In arena offense, you have that one extra slot in there, which potentially can make him where you build him on a Fat Lucian set, and then you just do a lot of damage that way. I think he needs crazy runes to actually make him shine, but I would definitely use him somewhere along the lines with like a Leo comp. Maybe even go for like a Leo, Gemini, and then an attack booster and full, or attack bar booster with attack booster like a Konami, Artamiel or something like that. And you try to one-shot that way. I think that's probably the way for him to go. Or something along the lines of that. I don't know exactly. Like you could go other things as well where you just, oh wait, you don't even need an attack bar booster that gives 100%. But yeah, there's a bunch of teams that you can probably use with Humble, and it's just insane that you can one-shot Camillas, ignore Abelios, ignore, well, pretty much everything. So Humble gets an 80 for me, and it's just mainly arena offense, but I think he's one of the best, if not the best, arena offense unit out there. We have Mugwall, and I don't really like Mugwall all too much. I would probably try to use him, but I don't really like him. He just gets a 55 for me. that's just it. Talisman, however, this is a very biased opinion, but since this is pretty much the best friend of a Nephthys in arena offense for sure, siege offense for sure. Like if you just Tiana Nephthys with Talisman, everything is dead. Everything is so freaking dead. Similar thing with a Kabila. In arena offense, everything is super, super dead. So Talisman gets like a 90 for me. Just because I think the unit is insanely cool. It doesn't have any RTA value. It's purely siege and arena offense. But this would boost my arena offense to potentially, I would say, the strongest arena offense in the game right now, which is Nephthys, Talisman, Tiana, and Kabila. Van Cliff, I don't really like. I would try to make him work somewhere here and there, but I don't really like him too much. Greg, somewhat similar style. I think for arena offense, I might give him a try, but don't really think I would use him all too much. Gurkha, I do have Gurkha plus Seimei, and Gurkha plus Seimei technically is the old Gurkha, because Gurkha doesn't heal on passive, but everything hits S1 with some kind of debuff. Gurkha gets full ATB, Gurkha heals because of Seimei. So technically the combination with Gurkha Seimei is pretty nasty, or nasty if both get into the field. So I would definitely use Gurkha if I had one. Do I think he's very good at it? Not really, but I would definitely give him, I would say 65. I would use him. Seimei, I don't really like her too much. It's literally just a passive totem right now, especially after S2 got nerfed. S1 doesn't do anything. She awakens into accuracy that she pretty much doesn't need. So Seimei gets like a 60 for me. It's not that the unit is bad, it's just that I don't really like the unit. It's too much of a passive totem, so... And at least Gurkha gets something, like he's flashy with whatever, and I do keep in mind that I have the both of them, but if I were to say like, okay, you can trade out one of your LD5s for something else, the ones that I would most likely trade in are actually the Zhang Lao, the Nikon, and the Seimei, because those are the ones I like the least. Doman, I think, is very underrated for RTA. We have seen, for example, Madrimdi play very well with her. I would say Siege offense is also pretty much an insta winner. So I would give Doman like an 80. I wouldn't go crazy high on her, but I would give it an 80. Only Yuki is used for Siege defense, is used for arena offense, I guess, because technically it's still better into Camilla's than a Kaki would be. It's pretty nice paired with the Dome, or with the, not the Doman, the Debra. So it has some options here and there, has some last picks options in RTA as well. It's not as great anymore, but can be used everywhere a little bit and to pretty decent extent, so Onyuki gets an 80 for me. Dorothy is just arena offense, and I think she actually has one of the higher damage outputs right now for any unit. But I don't really like her. She needs something on the passive to actually do proper damage, where she could kill stuff. And I'm not 100% sure if she can right now, so I will give Dorothy a 60. I think it's better than those units. Kiki, definitely siege defense, arena defense, into server defense. Definitely has some potential here and there. Arena defense maybe a little bit less. But I would also definitely use it in siege offense. I would fifth pick her in RTA as well. So she would get like a 75 from me. I think it's more of just a defense unit than... And no, let's give 80. I think she's kind of like Sylvia level for me. Yeah. Daniel, I think Daniel does have some potential. I thought a little bit more of them lately, and they didn't give that unit that much credit, but the S3 actually does do quite some damage. So I would give Daniel probably 75, because I still don't really like the unit that much. Jackson, I think, is a very good fifth pick in RTA, but that's literally about it, and he has to counter multiple units on the field to actually shine, and if he doesn't do that, he's just pretty much terrible. So I would give Jackson a 65. Wouldn't really like the unit all too much. Ella goes straight into meme tier, wouldn't use it. Maya, I would probably try to use it here and there, but I don't really like the unit at all. Then we go for the... wait, this is Emma. Is it Emma? No, Emma is the newest on fight. It's Ella. Benedict, siege offense definitely has potential. But I think it's pretty much that. Wouldn't really use it in... Would I try to use it in RTA? Maybe with the Nephthys it's not that bad in RTA, but I don't really think the unit is crazy good at it. So Benedict gets about a... I would say 70. It's kind of Giana level for me. Like, it can be used here and there, but it's nothing crazy good. Maximilian is pretty nice, especially with the Nephthys, that you can have two units that kind of do the same thing, and you can build a very nice cleave. But the thing is, with Maximilian, you're pretty much bound to you have to cleave. And for that reason, I think the unit is cool, the unit is nice, but since I already have Neftis, which I think does a better job because of the heal block and the consistent landing, I would put Maximilian. I still would like a Maximilian. I think he's one of the cooler units in the game. But for he's just RTA, I would probably use him in Siege offense as well next to a Tiana. But the thing is, you have no heal block, so you're a lot more limited in what things you can hit, and you don't have that silence. So there's a lot less CC potential in that. So I would give Maximilian. No, I'm gonna give him 85 because it's just a cool unit. Shan, I would probably try to use, but I think it's absolutely not great. Same for Ritsu. I don't really like these units in general. Veronica, however, I would only use... Would I try some siege defense with her? I would give it a try. I don't think it will really work out, but would definitely give it a try. RTA Goddess, a little bit less good as now as it used to be, but since she's not used in that many things at the moment, I would give her 90. But she's still very strong. Destiny, I think, is one of the hardest units to ruin, but also one of the coolest units in the game. And she just gets the cool factor. That's like, I ain't gonna lie, I think she has the best looking S3 in the game. It's just, it looks cool. S2 is a very nice skill. It's just, everything is just dope about Destiny. So I would just definitely give Destiny just... I would be happy with the unit just because the unit is dope. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Would I really be able to use in RTA? Probably not. But I would try because the unit is just cool. That's mainly it. Audrey, I know a person that actually pulled her very recently and actually said like, wow, this unit is actually not as bad as people think because she has defense buff all the time, which is pretty nice. Like every time it's just a one-turn defense buff and she does pretty good damage. People tend to underestimate her for the damage in RTA. I think for Siege offense, it's an instant winner. Siege defense not gonna do anything. Would not say that I would like her a lot, but I would definitely give her a try, and well, I guess it's a 65 for me. Giselle is pretty decent for siege defense. Siege offense can see some potential here and there. Would probably use it next to Neftis in the server defense. RTA, don't really think she shines that much. So she would pretty much be on a Giana level for me. This thing goes straight in there. And this one, Elena, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty decent stripper, has quite some potential for... I would probably use her in arena offense as well, because I could use a AoE strip that also has the potential to Oblivion the... what's it called? Oblivion Camillas, especially if the team is slower. So instead of Tiana, I would use this. I think that's actually pretty solid for usage. And in RTA, Big V and Lest have shown very good potential of using her in the like the heavy passive meta. But she needs crazy runes to actually be on Vio and then outspeed and that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure, but I would rate her an 80. I think she's pretty nice. We have Kavachi. I think I don't really like the unit at all. Zinazek, I don't like the unit at all. I would give them both a try in RTA. Let's just give it that, but I don't really like the unit that much. Light Ivor, I think she has potential, but I'm not really sure. But I'll give her an 80. I think she definitely has potential in a whole bunch of defense things. Yeah, I would try to put siege defense as well. And RTA has some good last pick potential, but that's about it. Wouldn't really use it too much in offense kind of thing. So 75 for that. We have the Dark Ivor, which is pretty dope in siege defense. Arena defense has some potential. Arena offense has some potential. RTA has some potential, but I feel like she's kind of overhyped for how good she is. Like, I think a lot of people put her like insanely high. For me, she's gonna be an 80. Dark Cassandra is definitely nice for siege offense. Siege defense, tried to make her work, not really. RTA tried to make her work. It's niche here and there against like Ragdoll comps or Slow Bruiser comps without any strip, but how often do you not have any strip? It's somewhat rare, right? So for that reason, I feel like she does a little bit worse, but she still is pretty nice. I'm gonna put her at 75 because she has the unique mechanic, which Giana can easily be replaced than a Dark Cassandra, so I put her high. We have the Light Ezio. Wait, why did I... Wait, this is the LD5 one, yeah. Okay, Light Ezio. I think it's a very cool unit as well. Skill 3, ignores passives and that kind of stuff. We've only seen Sapphire use her so far in RTA. Never seen her... Never seen him being used in RTA before that. But I think he has a lot of potential. I think he needs crazy runes to shine because you need him good, like fast enough. He needs to do enough damage. RTA or siege offense, absolutely a god. I think he would be pretty nice for a single target cleave as well in arena offense. So siege offense, arena offense, insanely good. RTA, I can see the potential. And it's just a dope unit in general. So I'm going to give him 85 as well. The Dark Bayek, I only know that Feint Solidar has him, uses it from time to time. In defense, has some potential. In offense, not that much. I would give it probably a 60. Maybe it's a little bit more worth, but let's say I wouldn't be too happy with the unit. Light Indra, to be honest about both Indras, I'm not too sure yet. I do know that the Light Indra is a pretty good unit for siege offense, maybe arena offense, or the other way around for sure. Arena offense, maybe siege offense. But it's kind of a setup unit that also deals the heavy damage himself, which kind of makes him in a weird spot. So I'm going to put him towards 65. And this one is more RTA focused, maybe siege defense. Now, siege defense, I don't even think so because you can just Juno into it. Kind of depends what you pair next to it. But these two are kind of wildcards for me. I haven't really seen them too much being used. They could be higher than that. But I think that's pretty much it for all of the units of LD5s that I would like to have. And let's say anything above 90% I would be insanely happy with. Yeah, all of them. Anything above 90, or 90% is not percent, but anything above 90 points or 90 and above, I will be insanely happy with. I would say 85 still insanely happy, but they can be used a little bit less here and there. Then we have 80 and 75, which are, I would be like, yeah, can definitely use, good for content, good for some stuff, good for some nice stuff in general, pretty nice. 70, 65, I would be like, okay, I can use them, they're more niche, they're still pretty decent, I think. I would definitely use them here and there, but not really to the point where I would say like, yeah, this is going to be godlike for anything, but those will definitely be used. 60 and 55, well, let's say 60 is something I would try to make work, but I don't really think I would be that happy with them in general. And I have 3 of them here. I might be slightly biased on the Nikong and the Zhang Lao and the Seimei, but to be honest with these units, I would try to make them work. I also do that with these 3, but I'm not really that I'm saying like, yo, these units are super cool. I really like to use them that much, or they're just super powerful. 55 is incredibly niche. We'll probably try to use them, but they're not great in general. And these are actually the 4 that I wouldn't use at all because I think they're just garbage. I would maybe try her on some kind of weird cleave or something in offense, in siege or arena, but I think these just go straight to storage. And all of the other ones I would actually use. So yeah, that is pretty much for me the most wanted LD5 in August 2023 tier list. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed and see you in the next video.